everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. Everybody's the same, everybody's equal. Canada, it's just a fantastic place to live. Everybody says hello or have a good day. What is Canadian cuisine? It would be my question back to whoever's asking me, is like, what's your interpretation of it? Everybody has a background here. There's a very small percentage of people would say, oh, I'm Canadian. I'm Owen Ramsbottom, from Ireland, in Toronto, 7 years. We are a farm-to-table restaurant, all local. Here, you just learn to be like, cool, it's good, everything's good. It's not about being Canadian. It's not about, I'm from here, I'm from there. It's everybody together. That's the togetherness, and everybody at the one table. For me, Canadian cuisine is that diverse culture. As a chef, I have quite a few rules. 90% of what we order would be organic. Come on. If I wouldn't serve it to my grandmother, I'm not going to serve it to you. Some of our burger spice. It's not a case of it just being Canadian. It's a case of what you bring to the table here in Canada. Welcome to Farmhouse Tavern. We're a farm-to-table restaurant here in the Junction in Toronto. As you can see, it's a very niche-looking restaurant. So if you actually look up, it's probably one of the best features. And what it actually is an old water tank that they took from a scrapyard. They brought it here on site, they cut it, they welded it, and they hung it out of the ceiling and they put some light bulbs on it. So I love it. People don't notice it, but it's there and it's cool. We have our pickles and our preserves, our VAQ wines, all our beers. There's an old maize Sith here, which is still quite sharp considering how old it is. We got creamers all over the place. They're all old dairy creamers that used to transport milk or cream or whatever it was that was coming in and out of the dairy. An old ice auger that was used to go through ice at some point for fishing, and now it just sits in our corner, and we leave it there because it fits the niche of the restaurant. How do you define Canadian cuisine? It's the magnitude of cultures that live in this city, that live in this country.
According to statistics, Canada is home to more than 150 ethnic communities. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that Canadian cuisine is quite an elaborate mosaic of culinary traditions, recipes, and products that generations of immigrants from different ethnic groups have brought with them to their new homeland. It is worth noting that Canadians' culinary preferences vary from province to province and from region to region. For example, Southern Ontario, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island, as well as Newfoundland and Labrador, follow the traditions of British and Irish cuisine. Quebec, New Brunswick, and northeastern Ontario are dominated by French cuisine. Manitoba and Saskatchewan, which were densely populated by immigrants from Western and Eastern Europe, have a very strong influence of Ukrainian, German, and Polish culinary customs. However, there are some specialties you can find on any Canadian table, be it in Quebec, Nunavut, or British Columbia.
Staples of Canadian cuisine, maple syrup.
Maple syrup is considered the hallmark of Canadian cuisine. Since time immemorial, the Indigenous peoples of Canada harvested and used the sap of the sugar maples. The first written mention of it was made in Quebec in the middle of the 17th century. This delicious and healthy product is widely represented in Canadian cuisine.
The maple tree grows all over America, and it was their source of sugar. The Algonquins were the first ones to process the sap. And what they would do is, whatever buckets or containers they had the sap in, they used to put hot stones down into it, and that used to make it last longer. So it's kind of heat treating it. So how the maple tree works is, during the summer, when it's going, it's actually using its reserves of its sap. It builds up all these reserves in its trunk and in its roots. And that sap is what is tapped now and then made into maple syrup. When they didn't have anything else, they were able to boil up this maple sap, and that's what they would eat. That's how they survived.
This is the sap straight from the tree, and it looks just like water. But if you shake it, it makes some bubbles, so you can tell it's not water. When I start to cook it, you can see it's turning yellow. That's because it's lost the water as steam, and the sugar's getting concentrated in the pot and just starting to caramelize and turn yellow. It takes about 18 hours for our machine to make a big batch. So I'll put like 2 or 3 barrels of sap into the back end of the machine, and nothing will come out the front for 18 hours, and then boom, I get a big pail of maple syrup all at once. My name's Peter Lloyd, and I work for the Hamilton Conservation Authority here at Westfield Heritage Village. The indigenous people had been making a sugar from the sap of the maple tree for time beyond reckoning. Nobody knows how long. And when Europeans first came to Canada and were interacting with the native people, they were trading with them. And one of the things that the native people were trading was sugar, and they were amazed that they had sugar, and then they found out it was coming from the trees, and it was a new thing. And then they showed the European people how they were getting the sap out of the tree and what they were doing to process it. And they had better technology. They had brass pails or iron kettles, and they were able to boil the sap much more efficiently, and they expanded it into a more industrial kind of size of operation. Our technology that we're using for our gathering right now is more like the technology of the 1950s, in that we're still using pails hanging on trees. I would pick my spot on the tree. I want to be on the south side of the tree, with the warmest side. And then I would just put my drill into the tree and I'd start churning. That. And it's gonna sawdust. And I put the spile in my hole. And this is why it's called tapping, is you have to tap it like that, and we're on. And then I would hang it on there. Good to go, 1 down. So I tapped 160 trees like that, 160. And so if I'm lucky, for every bucket I hang like this on a tree, I'll make 1 liter of maple syrup. From the last week of February until about the 1st of April, that 5-week period, that's when the trees are running the sap, because we're going from below freezing to above. That springtime, when the snow is melting, yeah, that's the time. If I have this much sap, there's only that much sugar. So I have to boil away all that water to get my sugar and concentrate it. How fast I get rid of that water is really important. I want to get rid of that water fast. If I go really slow and just simmer it, my maple syrup turns out really dark and black, and it tastes bad like molasses. If I can boil off my water really, really fast and make my maple syrup quickly, the color will be like a golden amber color, and the maple flavor will be really bright and happy, and it'll have a nice clean finish in your mouth, no aftertaste of molasses. That's what I'm trying to do, is boil my water off really, really fast and get to my maple syrup quick, so that the color stays light and the flavor stays bright. But the main part of it is something called caramelization. The darker the maple syrup is, the more you've caramelized the sugar. The more you caramelize it, the stronger the good flavor gets, but also the stronger the bad flavor gets. There's 2 things happening at once. One is you're creating something called vanillins, which are happy flavors, but you're also creating something called furanones, and they're a bad flavor. The happy ones happen first and quickly, and the bad ones happen slow. So if you make your maple syrup quick, you get the happy vanillins and you don't get the sad furanone flavor. So that's kind of where it's a balancing act between a bunch of good flavors and a bad flavor, and you're trying to get the good ones before the bad one happens. There's different colors of maple syrup. They all have the same amount of sugar in them. The real difference between them is in the flavor. And so something that's very, very light and clear like that, it's got this really bright and amazing maple flavor, but it disappears very quickly in your mouth. It just is there and then it's gone very quickly. It's like maple and gone. The darker it gets, the flavor is bigger and stronger in your mouth, but it lingers and lasts longer too. So that's a light. This is what we make mostly here at Maple. We make a medium maple syrup, and it's got a big, happy candy flavor that really lasts a long, long time in your mouth. Sometimes that's what you want. Like if you're just gonna put a swirl on a pancake, or if you're baking something that's nice, this stuff is a better choice. If you're gonna have pancakes and you're gonna put a lot on, I would go with something a little bit lighter, because then you get the big flavor in your mouth, but then you're ready to take the next bite, because it disappears and you're ready for more. The big stuff lingers in your mouth for a long time, the darker stuff.
Maple syrup. You've got everything you need. I won't eat a pancake without it. So the dish I'm going to make for you is our Farmhouse pancakes. So in here, in this bowl, we've got K2 milling flour, sugar, and baking powder. We also put some egg whites in there. I'm going to whisk these now in a second. We have Barry Hill's summer fruit preserve. We have Hewitt's whipped cream. We have maple syrup. We have buttermilk, which is also from Hewitt's Dairy. We have free-range eggs, and then, which is not very Canadian, but just a touch of vanilla for flavor. To start, we're going to take our whisk. We're literally just going to run it through to mix around everything that's in this bowl, which is our dry mix, containing the baking powder, flour, sugar. The eggs, we just beat them with a fork. We add our buttermilk. We make our full wet and our full dry before mixing them together. Just give that a whisk. It doesn't have to come together like super, super smooth, because it will in the bowl. Take our whisk and we're going to slowly add this in here. And you basically just want it all to come together. I'm going to pour that in. You just want to bring the wet and dry together, and then just to beat it to make sure that it's nice and smooth. There's a lot of customers come back for these pancakes. The egg whites is what's going to keep the pancake nice and fluffy. So I'm just going to beat them to medium stiff peak. So now I just take the spatula. We make sure to get all the egg white. We pop it in there. You don't want to spread out the egg whites. You want to leave them whole as is. And all you want to do is incorporate them into the batter by folding. Don't know if you can see, but when I turn this around, you can see just here the air bubbles that are starting to form within the batter. Now we're going to cook it, Jen. So spray down the grill with canola. Just let the batter fall out of the ladle so that the pancake stays nice and round. So once the pancake is on the grill, we just take a small spoon of butter and use our fingers and just put a small knob of butter at the top of each pancake. So as the pancake is cooking, you can see the bubbles on the top of the batter. That to me tells me the pancake has sealed underneath. So now I want to flip them. The butter is just solely for color, not necessarily for flavor, because there's already buttermilk in the batter. So we take our spatula, we get underneath and flip. Come on. There we go. So they're about 70% of the way there. So once the pancakes are on the tray, we pop them in the oven, 2 to 3 minutes at 350 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. They should be done. Now we're going to plate the Farmhouse pancakes. So we take our plate from underneath the pass, take our pancakes from the oven, always using a towel, of course, because it's super hot. And one at a time, we just place them in the center of the plate. Barry Hill's Summer Fruit Preserve, the whipped cream, and our maple syrup. And that is our Farmhouse buttermilk pancakes. When you think of Canadian cuisine, the first dish that comes to your mind should be poutine. It's Canada's most iconic dish. Generally, it consists of fries, cheese curds, and gravy. I'm going to be adding some smoked brisket. We will deep fry our fries, get them nice and crispy, add our cheese curds, then add our gravy, and then we'll finish with some freshly minced chive. The cheese curd, these are from Quebec, so it's a very classic Canadian dish that comes from a very Canadian city where this is like gold. So now we're going to fry our brisket, fry our fries. We'll come back to the pasta plate. So we take our fries in one basket, our beef brisket in the other. Drop the fries. Fries take about 2.5 to 3 minutes to get nice and crispy. Okay, next, once the fries are down, turn on our gravy. Make sure that comes to a boil and it's nice and hot. Let's check our fries and we're going to drop our brisket. So our fries are just ready. Brisket is just ready. Gravy's ready. Cheese curds and chives. Take our bowl. Take off the excess oil. Fries into the bowl. Always salt. Some of our burger spice. A lot of burger spice. Take our crispy brisket bits. So now, what you have in the bowl, crispy brisket, crispy fries. Now we want to add the cheese curds. Put a lot in there because cheese is good. Take our gravy. So we're pouring the gravy over. Once you have that in there, all you need to do now is toss. Everything's mixed together nicely. Take our bowl and our spoon, and we just pour everything into the bowl, making sure that there's some brisket and cheese curds on top so people can see them. As you can see, the cheese curds, have held together very well. You have your fries, you have your gravy, and then we just finish ours with a sprinkle of freshly minced chive. And that is your poutine. So at Farmhouse, we use a lot of beef. Our burger, our most popular dish, comes from beef. So now I'm going to make the barn burger hugely popular. We could sell anywhere between 25 and 40 per service. And what we do is we take chuck and short rib, then we have a brioche bun that Cheese Boutique make for us, iceberg lettuce. We've got cider braised onions. We obviously just take regular Spanish cooking onions. Over here, then we put blue cheese on it too. This blue cheese is from Glengarry. Here, we have our Farmhouse Tavern sauce. So it's just a mayonnaise-based sauce, which we make in-house. It's spiced with cayenne pepper, paprika, and our house-made pickles. Then instead of just a regular slice of bacon, I make a bacon jam. All the bacon that we use and process during brunch, we keep all the offcuts. We dice them up into lardons. We sweat them out with onion, garlic, add sherry vinegar to the glaze, bring all that down, and then just blitz it up, and that's your final product for the jam. Obviously salt for the meat, because all meat needs salt. And then our Farmhouse burger spice, which is a blend, as I said earlier on the fries for the poutine. It's cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, dried thyme, garlic powder, onion powder. That is going to season our burger, not the fries. And then we serve this then just with house-made ketchup and fries. Okay, so now we're going to take our mise en place over to the grill and the fryer, and we'll cook the barn burger for you. So first off, we take our patty. First on is salt, both sides. Nice even coating of salt on both sides. And then it's our burger spice. Again, a nice even coating on both sides. We just pack that in. Take canola oil. Just a touch of oil to heat up on the grill. And we sear our patty. Should take about 3 minutes each side. We want a medium burger. So while the burger's cooking, we take our bun and we're going to toast our bun on the flat top too. So obviously the bun is cut. And we just put that on up here so that it doesn't burn from the fat of the burger. In the meantime, we take a bowl of fries. And we have them in the fryer, ready to go, to be dropped about 2.5 minutes from plating so that everything's good and warm and you get everything at the same time. Just give the bun a little check. Bun is nice and toasty. We'll take that, put it on our tray, and leave our tray up here. So just going to flip the burger. Press down. I like to cook by saying, if I wouldn't give it to my grandmother, I'm not going to give it to you. My grandmother, she died a couple of years ago, but she wouldn't eat a burger, but I'd serve her this burger, you know? So that's about 2.5 minutes out. We're going to drop our fries. So the burger is just about there. We're going to take the bottom half of our bun. We're going to put our bacon jam, about 2 ounces of bacon jam. Just spread it on the bun, pop it up here. Our spoon, we're going to put our onions on the grill. We're going to take our blue cheese, put that on the patty. About 1 ounce of blue cheese. What I try to teach younger cooks is the door is there for a reason. One of the most important features of becoming a good and a successful cook is that you're able to leave your other problems outside. It's not a very easy thing to do for a lot of people, but it's definitely something that I try to teach them to be able to do. To think positive. If you need any help with stuff from the outside world, whatever it may be, I'm here to help. If you bring in outside problems, it's going to come through in your food. If you're in a bad mood about something that's happened at home or happened on the way to work, and you're not able to have that separation, it's going to come through in the food. You need to be happy. The food needs to be happy leaving the past. If you're in a good humor and you're positive and your outlook is good, the food is going to go to the table that way, and people are going to have in my opinion, a far better experience. And that's just something that I kind of picked up along the way. It's very, very easy to be negative about anything. If you can take the positives out of everything, I think you're going to be, 1, a much better person, and 2, you're going to serve much, much better food. So we take our plate, fries are ready, FHT. So here's the burger. We take the bottom half of the bun, we pop it up there. Top half We leave it open. Just something we've always done. We put our fries. And we top it with our FHT. And voila, your Farmhouse barn burger. After brunch at 3 o'clock, on the hour, every hour, we run a different special because we want minimal waste. If somebody ate 86 something at Farmhouse on a Sunday night, that means there's no more. We're all out. Once Mike O'Reilly or whoever's at the bar says, 86 draft, I'll call it in the kitchen, 86 draft, and I will shout it. We will shout. And everybody will know that it's 86 draft. Whoever originally called that 86 picks up this bell and literally goes all the way through the restaurant and then puts down the bell. And then everybody's just like, what? We're like, 86 draft. So this is the most important part of Farmhouse's Sunday night, and it's a cowbell. From start to finish, from the time that people walk in the door to the time that they leave, we want to create that atmosphere that you had a better experience or a better dinner party or whatever it may be here than you could at home. And that's our aim, is to make people feel at home and then to get more than what they expect on the plate.